submission. So for those of you who don't know, we've got the Power BI challenge coming out. Well, it's on right now within Enterprise DNA's forum within our community, and I'm encouraging you all to get involved. And to help with that, I'm live streaming my own submission and my own workings through the challenge that I'm going to the report that I'm going to submit to the challenge. And to keep things fresh, I've actually done nothing at this point. All I've done is downloaded the data, read the brief, and I'm going to, for the next hour or so, just walk you through my logic, my workings around how I work in the challenge, and showcase to you as well the benefits of doing this yourself, and also what sort of effort is required to actually submit something. So, you know, we're trying to make the challenge as achievable as possible for everyone. So I really encourage you to get involved and to realize, like, it doesn't actually take that much time to actually submit something good, and you can go into the draw to win some prizes, some free memberships to our platform if you're a non-member, but also just the kudos that goes with participating in winning, potentially winning, getting one of the top prizes in our challenges. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and just jump into it. I've got an hour. I've penciled in an hour of time here, and I really want to just walk you through as much as I possibly can in an hour, and I'm going to try and develop as much as I can in an hour. So some things I might skip over relatively quickly, but others I'll maybe explain in a little bit more detail. So feel free to jump in whenever you like, and we can discuss something if it's interesting, and I think that others would benefit from it. Okay, so as a bit of a recap, this particular challenge was actually on emergency services data. So if I just come through, and I'll scroll down to sort of the main things. If you come to this particular link, which I'll post in the chat, you'll find all the details there for the challenge for you to participate. You see here that we give out some free memberships, and there's a couple of other things that we award the winner as well. We also post your solution. I actually will very likely create a video on your solution as well, so it's highly recommended. It's a great opportunity to grow your profile if you're working in the Power BI space. Okay, so basically, as a summary, from what I can ascertain from the brief, is that we are a call center that is taking calls on emergency service data. So we're recording that data, but we're also recording, say, when the ambulance was dispatched, when the patient arrived back at the hospital, all of that interesting stuff around time and performance of our emergency services. Okay, and so a couple of points, a couple of things have been outlined that we could look to analyze, but it's really open-ended. You can really analyze whatever you like, but we've got a number of calls, time between calls, time taken for ambulance to arrive, time taken for patient to arrive to hospital, number of jobs over specific times. Does the dispatch code affect the timings? Does the call handler have an impact? So on and so forth. So some really good insights here. I mean, if you're working in emergency services, this is exactly the type of analysis that you would do, right? This would be so valuable. And I'm sure some of this is being done, some of it's probably not being done in that optimized way. But I'm going to show you, like right now, how you can actually do this in Power BI relatively quickly, relatively seamlessly with the data set that we've got here. Okay, so let's jump into the data. So the data that we've got here is basically relatively simply laid out, like in terms of, I'm already thinking about what sort of model do I want to create, right? Well, the data is set up in a way where the model is relatively intuitive already. Call timings is going to be our fact table, right? This is where all of the time and date information is currently located. So we've got time of call, length of call, a couple of ID things here that I know are most likely going to link up to a lookup table. We've got a departure time, arrival time, hospital time, complete time. So hospital ID. So one thing that really sticks out, right, that this challenge is, where the challenge is within this challenge is the fact that we've got a lot of dates and times, and we've got to solve for this inside of Power BI, because this is not actually that easy. Well, it isn't. It's actually not that difficult, but it just takes a little bit of understanding around how to solve for this. Like basically what we need to do is we need to, I know this immediately from looking at this for the sort of second time, is I need to break out the date and the actual time. Like I need a dates column, I need an hour column, I need a minutes column. And so that's what we've got to solve for. That's the main thing we've got to solve for. And then I think everything else will flow quite easily from there. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in. We also need a date table. That's quite essential. I'm gonna try and speed through this, because if you think about what I've got to do in the next hour, I want to be able to do the query editor. I've got to do the data model, write some formula, and then also start. I've got to create visualizations and a navigation, etc. So I'm going to see how far I can get, and I've got to work through relatively quickly some of these things. So what I'll need to do is just delete this, and I'm going to bring this data in. And what I might also do is I'll actually leave this particular report, I'll save this in a certain location when I've optimized the tables and the model, so just to make it even easier for you to get involved in the challenge. Okay, so I'm going to get these tables here. I can rename these very easily. Just going to bring them in. Okay. Obviously, you want to be renaming these as quickly as possible. And what's good is there's not a huge amount of cleanup that we need to do here. I already know that just from looking at the raw data. So I've got, this is call, let's just quickly rename these, call timings. Okay, and then we'll go through these. Protocols, right? All of these are going to link back. This is like dispatch hospitals. So this is the initial stuff that you've got to do straight away. Patients. Who would we call these people? We'll call these call handlers, I think. Call handlers. Call handlers, maybe. What do we call these? Yeah, these are the call handlers, I think. Call handlers. This is the ambulance ambulance stations, I think. And these people are our call handlers. Okay. So it was easy. Now, what I'm going to quickly do here as well, because I know I need this, is my date table. I just know I'm going to need it, so I'm going to get it really quickly. I'm just going to go to the Analyst Hub here. This is where I get a lot of my code. So I've shown this many times, this particular technique. But for those of you who don't know, the Analyst Hub is this internal piece of software that we've developed, and it enables me to really quickly get all the code, etc., that I need. So this is sort of just automatic for me. So I'm coming to community, I type in extended, and I know that my extended date table is going to be here. So I'm going to grab that, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to come back into my model. I'm going to come in here, create a blank query, advanced editor, and then paste it in. Okay. And let's just have a quick look. So it looks like it's quite recent data. So we'll just go 1st of the 1st, 2019. I just like to put a sort of range on it, 31st of the 12th, 2021. I'll put the financial year as 7 and workday as 1. Okay. And then that creates my detailed date table for me. And then I'm just going to change these up. So I'm just rushing through this, dates, query. Cool. Okay. So then a couple of other things that I do is this. I create groups. So I move to group. I'm going to call this a parameter queries. Okay. And then I'm going to put these all in a group as well, because I know that all of these are going to go into my data model, right? So I always do this. I create a data model table. Makes a huge amount of difference just from understanding like what are the key tables, because you might have supporting tables. You might have tables that you use as a reference to create other tables. So you got to make sure that you're really clear on what are the core tables that are going to go into your model, right? Into your modules, right? And then sometimes I like to just rearrange these even just to make it even clearer that my fact tables are sort of down the bottom here. Okay. Now, when I look through all of these different tables, right, there's not a huge amount I need to do, which is good. Okay, so these are all pretty simple. There's really just not a huge amount required there. I mean, maybe there's like a little bit of cleanup we could do here. Maybe we could do this. Let's go transform. We'll go trim, just to clean it up just a little bit. So it looked like there was some erroneous spaces there, but now that is, I mean, maybe this is dispatch codes, maybe codes. So all of these are going to really align nicely. Well, they're all going to connect into my fact table here, right? So these are all my lookup tables, and this is going to be my fact table. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, right? Power BI is not great. It is not great with dates and times, okay? Not great at all. You've got to remember that our date table, right, needs to be our column of unique values here is our date column. And so what we need is we need a column in our fact table that we link it up to that is just a date, not a date and time. And so I'm also thinking here, like what I probably also need is I need a table which is 1 to 24 to represent all the different hours as well. And maybe even down to the minutes. I need a minutes table too. Maybe that's something we can add later on. Not difficult to add, by the way. Very easily can be added using a parameter query or just creating a table really quickly, like so. Like I could just go enter data and go 1 to 24. So there's plenty of ways we could do it. Maybe we could like break out the hours here and then create a new table based on that one column, and then remove all duplicates, and that's another way we can do it. So few ways we could do it. We could create a table in Excel and bring that in as well, in our raw data. So that's ultimately what we want to aim for. But the key here to know and to understand is the fact that we need to break these out. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just a little bit of work here, and I'm going to make sure I save the model after this, so you can actually leverage off my model at this point. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and add column here. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to extract. I'll make sure you go to do add column. I'm going to extract the hour. So sorry, time. Here you go, time. Extract the hour first. Okay, so I'll get that. It's going at the end there. So time. I'm going to go time. Call time hour. Okay. We could probably rearrange these later on. Call time hour. Call time date. Okay. Because ultimately I'm going to turn this into a date. So I'm also going to grab the call time minute. Okay. Call time minute. Like so. Okay. Then what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go transform in this particular case, and I'm going to transform this back to date only. Okay, so now in separate columns I have the date, and then I've also got my hour and I've got my minute. Okay, and then now we can do some more interesting things later on. I mean, maybe another thing we could do is have the time as something separate, but honestly, I want to sort of reiterate that Power BI does not work well with times. Okay, so this one here, yep, we can probably just leave that as so. Is there any notes here? Because we could probably get, okay, so there's no notes here, so I'm just going to get rid of this particular column, remove that column, because I know I'm not going to use it. Okay, so here we want to do a similar sort of thing. So I'm just going to quickly work through it. So I'm going to break out the hour. I call it the departure hour. Departure hour. And then I'm going to do the minute as well. departure minutes. Okay, and then just do a quick change of this to a date only. And same here, I'm going to quickly fix these up as well. So I'm going to go and add the arrival hour. Right. And then arrival minutes. Like so. Okay. And I'm going to change this one over to just the date. Oh, hold on, sorry, that's wrong. Date only. Okay, and then same here. So a little bit of work to do, unfortunately, but that's just the way it goes. Hospital arrival minutes. Actually, I'll get rid of that because we want it in the right order. And so you would need to make a decision here as to, like, do you need all this information? So in this particular case, I'm going to get it all to begin with, and then we'll drill it, nail it, we'll scale it down if need be. Hospital arrival hour. So arrival. Arrival dates. And working with multiple dates here as well, which arrival date. It's a little bit tricky as well, but very ambulance departure date. But very, very doable with multiple links up to our date table. So very, yeah, not a huge problem. So I need to change this over as well. So I'm just going to go transform date only. Okay, and last one here. So I'm just going to extract the hour out of this. So complete hour. And the other thing to consider is, do you actually need the minutes? Like, we could actually get rid of the minutes if we really wanted to, right? Complete minutes. Oh, that's another consideration as well. Okay, and then I'm going to change this over to just the date. Date. Okay, so a little bit of work there. And then one of the other things like we could do as well is we could rearrange these to try and get them in a bit better order. So I'll just have a quick play around with that. So complete hour. Actually, hospital arrival, I'll get that across first. Arrival date, I'll move that across. Still doesn't take you too long though. Like, I mean, we're about 15 minutes in, right? And I've been talking a bit, so it's all relative. Ambulance departure date. Okay, and then I'm also going to move this one here. and then all my lookup tables at the beginning. Okay, cool. So I think this is looking pretty good now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close and apply this. And let's just quickly set up the model and see what the model looks like. Because I want to make sure that we have enough time to actually run some analysis and try and answer some of these things in the brief, right? And so obviously you start in the query editor all the time, and then you've got to go to the model. Making sure that you are building your model up correctly is just absolutely essential. Like everything post this point, all relies on the model, right? And so Power BI's done a lot of the creation for me. I obviously want to check it, make sure it's right, but I'm just going to quickly move this around to this waterfall technique that I always use, right? Where I put my lookup tables up the top, just doing a little bit of reorganizing here. It looks like call handlers needs. And I always say this, like, I remember I don't even really mind about seeing the columns in these particular tables. I just want to make sure my model is as intuitive for me as possible, okay? So I'm just going to make sure that I've got so I want to make sure that we've got these all linked up correctly. So the patient ID, so we want to make call staff ID. So that's what this one is. So let's link that up. And then we've got to link up a lot of the dates as well, all the different dates. Okay, cool. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for the comment on the makes sense. Okay, thanks for that. It does make sense, actually. Okay, so it does. Generally an ambulance is going to be working within a confined space, right? So, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create these relationships, right, between all of my dates and the dates table, and this is what's essential here. We're working with multiple different dates, and so we need to we need multiple different relationships. You could have multiple different date tables, but I don't really recommend that. I recommend as much as possible using one date table and then doing everything off that. Okay, and so I'm just going to finish these off. Okay, so I think there wasn't there 5? So I got complete date as well. Okay, so I've got my 5 relationships between, so you see there I've got my 5 relationships, so maybe I'll just bring it out there so it's easy to see. And then I collapse all these. I don't really need to see what is in each of these, just to make it a little bit cleaner. But this is my model as per best practice, right? Lookup tables at the top, fact table down the bottom. Now I can visually in my mind understand how this is actually working. One of the other things that I probably want to do here is work out which, I actually don't think I'm going to have any active relationships. I'm going to have all inactive relationships between my date table and my fact table. So if I want to filter anything by date, I need to turn on the relationship using the use relationship function. And I think that just makes it easier for me to understand going forward. So there's, just working through this, there is actually a little bit of complexity about this. So what I'm going to do at the moment is this. I'm going to save this as, I'm going to save this model. Okay, I'm going to save that as that. And then I'm going to, and then I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that to the forum so that you can leverage off this model. I'm going to go back to this, and then I'm going to keep building from here. Okay, cool. So let's have a quick look at the data now. Okay, so basically what we need to do, the main thing that we need to calculate is the amount of calls, and then that amount of calls enables us to do a lot of calculations post then. So as I always do, I'm just trying to look for, okay, what are my core calculations what are the core calculations that I need to build that I can then live like a branch out into in the future. Okay. And basically the main one is the call itself, the amount of calls, because then we can see the amount of calls by person, by ambulance, by hospital, so on and so forth, because we have those as our lookup tables. And all I need to do is filter anything up here, create context up here, and that's going to filter the calls measure down here. Okay. One thing I'm just going to do quickly as well is this. I'm going to click on here, and I'm just going to format my date here. Okay. I'm just going to make this a simpler format. I'm going to show you one other trick that I use as well, which I think is a good habit to get into. Is whenever you have like a lot of dates, or you have relationship between a date table and many dates in the fact table, the reality is that you don't actually, you can hide these columns. So like what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide and report view, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to confuse the user in terms of which dates they should select, or the developer or yourself even. And so if you actually hide these, it forces the user to only reference the date from the date table. Okay. And this, yeah, it's more so just to, it simplifies the amount of things that you can select here. And honestly, I think the same thing would be for hour and for minute as well, because I have a feeling we're probably going to create lookup tables for that eventually as well. So I'm just going to come through here. It's just a little bit of admin, but definitely does simplify things. And for those of you who have known me for a while, I'm so big on just making things simple, making things easy to understand, making sure you have a tidy model, tidy formulas, tidy naming conventions. All these things are just very, very important and make a big difference. Did I miss one? Okay, that seems I've got everyone. Okay. Okay, so the very first I'm going to create at the same time, I'm going to create a new table for my measures. Okay, I'm going to call this key measures. So I always do this. This is something I always do. And then within here, I'm going to start creating my measures. So I bring it up here, and then within here, I'm going to create, while I'm selected on there, I'm going to go new measure. And I'm just going to blow this up, and then I'm going to say total calls, right? And then all I've got to do is use count rows. So core measures, simple measures, that's all I'm thinking right now. And then I'm going to go call timings, and then go OK. Okay, so this in itself is going to be pretty limited, especially around date calculations, mainly because of the relationships we've got, right? We've got to, if we want to analyze like how many calls were on a particular day, we're going to have to turn on one of those relationships. Okay, but first of all, I'm going to just delete this. Okay, so I've got my key measures table up here now. So I'm going to put all my measures into this one. Okay, so I can go like this, and I am going to get a result, and I can filter this result by some things, but definitely not dates at the moment. Okay, so in the whole data set, it looks like we've got 3,000 calls, right? Well, I can have a look at that by hospital name quite easily. I've realized that I need to actually improve the names of these particular. Columns, because you see here, like if you see in this visualization, it doesn't, what naming conventions is so key because of this name that I'm getting in the title. I want this to be automatic. So what I might do is I'll quickly jump back to the query editor and just update a few things. Right, so I'm going to go Hospital name. These are all areas, and funnily enough, these are all areas in New Zealand, even though I didn't create this challenge. Let's just have a quick look. Product, okay, these look okay. See patient name, that should have a space. Ambulance stations, that looks okay. And that looks okay. Okay, so that's right. I think we're all good. Other than that, it's just that one. So I'll go close and apply that. 3 of the hospitals have been closed down. That's a good one. Like for real? That's not good. Okay, let's apply that. So I'm just gonna just do a bit of a rift here, just to get a few things going inside of my report quickly. And then just what it does is enables me to evaluate like what's possible as well. So, you know, we've got other things that we can filter by here, right? So we can have a look at things by protocols. Maybe I can actually have a look at stations as well. So ambulance station. The station ID, no, on the name here. This should actually be station name. Name in itself is not going to really be that intuitive enough. So what we want to do here is call it station name. Let's get rid of this one. Okay, so there's probably plenty of ways we can look at these visualizations. Some better than others, but we'll work on our visualization shortly. This is just to get an understanding of the data a little bit, like try work out the distribution of the data. Okay, and then maybe call handlers as well. So maybe we'll go last name, and we'll go total calls. So this is all through one measure, just utilizing our model. Very, very easy to complete. Okay, so obviously we can try and make this visually look far more appealing in the future, but you know, you've got to try to get a quick understanding of the actual data. Now, here's where we need to manage things a little bit more effectively from a time perspective. Okay, so also this key measures table I usually have out to the side here, just like that. So say for instance, I want to understand how many calls we get on any specific day. Okay, so to me, the date for that is probably going to be the call date, right? So the call time date. Okay, so what I want to do is create another measure here. I'm going to call this calls by date, right? So okay, initial calls by date. You got to be quite descriptive here, okay? And then we're going to use a similar pattern here quite a lot, right? So I'm going to go calls, total calls, and then all I'm going to do here is incorporate the use relationship function, and then the 2 columns that I want to bring together. So always going to have your dates column, and then the second one is going to be the call time, right? So call time, so I can just type that in, call time date, then go enter. And all this is going to do is show me when it's going to turn on that inactive relationship for me, okay? So I'm just going to delete a couple of these things. Okay, I also, someone reminded me of this the other day. I can mark this as a date table, like so. And then select the date column. Okay, and then I can grab my date, like so. And then initial calls by date, and let's have a look at what this evaluates to. Okay, so now I can actually see my calls by date, right? My calls by date, because I turned on that relationship. So it's inactive in here. These are all inactive. No, I don't want that. So these are all inactive, right? But I've turned it on with that particular that formula. And this is the key. This is going to be the initial measure for anything that we want to do with time, but we need to obviously match it out. We need to match it out with, well, we've got to create specific formulas for each different relationship that we want to turn on. So if we want to look at things by an initial call, or by like when the ambulance was sent out, or when the patient arrived, so on and so forth, we need to create different formulas for that. Cool. Okay, so at this point, what I would do is I'd come in and have a look back at the brief. Okay, I want to have a look back at the brief and see some of the initial things that we want to answer, and then how we're going to solve that with some formulas. So, okay, so time between calls and ambulance departure. So there's a lot of like between times. Okay, so that's going to mean we need to work out some time logic here, I think. Number of jobs between specific periods, so on and so forth. Okay, so one thing I know we're going to need is we're going to need a lookup table that is to do with the hours. Okay, I already know that. So I'm going to go to insert here, or is it modeling? I'm going to create a new parameter table. Okay, I'm going to call this the hours table. I'm going to go 0 to, I'm actually going to go 1 to 24 to represent, so 1 to 24, increment of 1. I don't want to slice it at this stage. I'll put that on later. And then I'm going to link that up to the hours columns, like I have done previously with the dates. Okay. And potentially I might have overcomplicated this part of it. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna bring this over here. Maybe to simplify it, I'm going to just do it like this, so we can put all the times like so. Okay, let's just have a quick look. So it's basically just going to be 1 to 24, right? Easy. Hours table. So let's go like when calls are happening. So the main ones that we want to see here are the call time hour. So let's grab that and drag it to the call time hour. So we'll just have that as the only relationship we require at the moment, okay? And then what we can do, and what I think I'll do here as well is this. I'm going to create another column here. I'm going to create a new column. I'm going to do this. Hours. So I'm just going to go and grab the hours here. And trying to turn this into text. That's basically what I'm trying to do, because I want a text value so I can actually see the distribution of when calls actually happened. Let's have a look. Okay, and then I want to try and see if I can turn this into text here. Data type, text. So they're all going to link up, but this now enables me to see that distribution as a text. And so what I can do here is then grab my hours, and it will give me just a table of results. I probably need to, what I need to do is I need to sort it, sort by column, hours table. That will then sort for me, which is good. And then I can go initial calls by date here, okay? And so then I can have a look at the distribution. It looks like it's pretty evenly distributed. Okay, so it's pretty evenly distributed, but this actually answers, if you think about it answers one of our insights, right? Like very easily we can see, okay, well, how many calls are we getting in any specific time period? And then what we can do as well is, if we wanted to, we can, you know, where this is going to be a bit more valuable is maybe when we can drill into specific time periods. And so what I maybe want to do here is have a slicer like this that enables me to change the time frame and then see how that changes the hours between 12 and 2, right? And so we could then highlight those in some specific way as well if we wanted to. Okay, so what are some other things we can have a look at? So it's the different. So there's the time between. We've got to work out that one. Does the dispatch code affect the timings? So that's going to be a derivative of that. Does the call handler have an impact? Do certain hospitals have issues in a particular aspect? What does the data say about upon the ambulance station? Okay, so so a lot of these are to do with time, right? So we need to work out the difference in timings in a lot of cases. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually, I'll leave these up and I'll create another page so we can have a play through this particular challenge of working out the difference between times. Okay, so emergency services data. I'll just change a few things here. Let's insert a title. Probably want to make this a little bit bigger, I think. I think I have a feeling I'm going to run out of time to really work on the visualization. So we're just working through a lot of the logic here, really. I mean, we could create a simple visualization if we wanted to, but I want to make sure we dive into some of those time aspects as well. So we've got about 10 more minutes that I want to go for here. Maybe I can do a round two. I don't know. Maybe I can do a round two another day. Just see how we're going. Going to try as much as I can to do a lot of this work out in the open instead of sort of doing it behind the scenes, just so everyone can sort of leverage off some of the techniques and frameworks around how I go about things. I think that everyone will really benefit from that. For this one here, what I might do, I think I might turn it into like this, so you can sort of see what the distribution looks like. what would be more interesting here is maybe the percent of total. So that's a calculation that we could do quite easily, I think. And then we could have this here. So total calls, and then if we just quickly add some of these other calcs. Okay, so I can already like put something together here. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that we can like discover and work out answers to. So let's have a play around with that. Okay, and we can come back and fix that in a second. Okay, so time between. So here's a bit of work we need to do. Now, first of all, let's have a look. Let's have a quick look through the tables and see what logic we can apply in here. Okay, so we've got length of call here. So that is I guess the time, the length, how long it takes for someone to actually be on a call. So that's actually another measure that we could create, I guess. So we could do this. We could let's just quickly create that while I think of it. We could go. I'm going to use average. I'm going to use an average here. I'm going to go modeling, new measure. Just going to use a simple average X formula here. Or I don't even need an average X actually. Average call time, right? Average call time. And then I'm pretty sure I can just go average here. So I can then find the call time. Timings, length of call. Okay, and so then we can already see if we look at, say, our call handlers, if we really wanted to look at them, we could say, okay, well, what was the average call time someone's on the phone? So that's a good little insight we can find. It looks like they're all pretty similar, quite an even distribution. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try this. Okay, so we've got to come back here and let's have a look at call timings and see what we can come up with. So let's just try and assess some of these times, right? So, and maybe there is something else that we can do here. So we've got call time here, and then we've got departure time. And maybe, so let's just start off with departure time and arrival date. So how are we going to work out the difference here? Particularly if there is a difference between the departure hour and the minute. And so what I think I need to do here is actually go back a step. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back a step and I'm going to try something first, okay? I'm going to try this. I'm actually going to extract the time and then try and turn that time into something that I can use a little bit better, okay? So I'm going to go call timings. And I'm going to go ambulance departure date. And from this column, I'm going to extract maybe I'm going to do a conditional column. Let's try a conditional column. I'm going to see if I can extract it out of this. I'm going to go call difference, right? So instead of having to write a formula, I'm going to try and do this. So departure date. No, that's not going to work. Sorry, my bad. That's not what I want. I want, we'll try column from examples, eh? Let's give this a go. So I love this feature, always have. So I'm going to do departure date minus, no, that's not going to work either. Okay. Nope. I just got to have a play around. Got to have a play around to figure out what we're doing here. So can I still, maybe because I don't know if I can actually extract the time anymore. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to test it. I'm going to show you a bit of a technique. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to just get it out of here. I'm going to call this test. Call tests. And the thing that with duplicating this, right? With duplicating, I can have a play around with all of the same code that was in here before, but I'm not going to break anything on that table that I've just gone and made all those changes for. And so what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to delete everything. Delete until end. I'm going to basically delete all of the changes that were made at that point. Okay, and then let's have a look. Let's just have a play around. So ambulance departure time, I want to extract out of here just the time only. Okay, so I've extracted the time. Or maybe I can actually go that minus that. Maybe that is actually what we need to do. Let's invoke a custom function. Hold on a sec. Nope. I'm going to go. Okay, I'm going to try something simple. Time between. So I've got ambulance departure time. Arrival time at patient. So we've actually got to put this first. Okay, so let's see what this comes up with. Aha, okay. So this is saying that it took 7 minutes, is that right? So, got it, okay. So minutes. Okay, well that's actually probably a better way to do it, honestly. We need this data, right? We need this data because this is actually, and I think what I've done is right, but I've maybe cut off one of the things that I needed to do as well, is work out the times between. And a lot of, like, you in this case, you probably want to do it in the query editor, honestly, to make it simpler for yourself. And so all I've done is I've worked out the time between, and then I've found out what the minutes were. I mean, what else can we do here? We can do seconds. We can do whatever. So maybe we can work out how many seconds it actually takes. So let's grab the seconds. Well, that's actually just grabbing the seconds, isn't it? So 32 seconds. And then this one, you can go. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think, okay, what is a simple column I can create that I could backwards integrate down to the exact time? Okay, maybe we want to do this, multiplied by 60, and maybe we just want to get the seconds, right? We want to get the total seconds of this of the entire thing, and then we could turn that into minutes and seconds later on down the track with a formula with 60, right? So 420 plus that column plus seconds. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of like the cleanest way that we could do this. And so I've got minutes and seconds, because I don't want to have like so many columns for every single every single one. So I mean, we could probably do some things here as well. So let's just change this to time. Nope, doesn't work. So it doesn't actually know. It doesn't actually know what type of data type this is at the moment. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I know I'm sort of running out of time here, and this sort of part of it is going to take a little bit longer. I'm going to, for this particular one, I'm going to disable the load because this was just a testing. This was just a testing table, and then I'm going to go close and apply, and then I'll show you a few other things, and then maybe tomorrow I might do round 2 of this. I might actually pick up from where I end today, and then I'll work on like phase 2 of my development in another session tomorrow. I'll see how I'm going. But hopefully you've enjoyed just learning a little bit about the logic that I put into my own development, and can kind of see how I come about creating reports and creating challenges. That's sort of the key. So once I'm done with my calculations, I'm probably onto the so I've got a few additional calculations to work out. Really the biggest thing I've got to solve here is the time, because that's the time between, say, like a call and arrival, or pickup and delivery to the hospital. Once I have those, which I think I'm very close to, I'm basically onto, I've found the key performance indicator in my data. And then now it's about working out, okay, what is the story that I want to tell? How do I want to build my visualization? How do I want to build my navigation experience? And so that is when I'm going to leverage off some designs which are already in the challenge, but also I'm going to jump to here. Okay, so there's a lot of locations that we can find inspiration. One of them is in here in the Enterprise DNA's knowledge base, which is at info.enterprisedna.co. And what we've got here is report design inspiration. So I'm going to come in here. And also the Analyst Hub is another place that we can get this from as well. Okay, so there's a lot of reports that we can view here. Not only reports, but just general designs that are really, really neat, really nice. So I think some of these are actually Excel. So let's have a look at this one. I mean, that's really nice, isn't it? So I mean, it's not, it's a totally different thing, but in terms of like a design, it's beautiful. And that's what we're looking for in a lot of cases. We want to make sure things look really compelling. This is nice as well. Nice look to that. So I'm just trying to look for inspiration here around how I can design my own. And I think I might utilize one of these. I think I might utilize one of these looks. Here's another one that looks quite cool as well. So you see a lot of the techniques that I've talked about over time, like grids, not overloading on colors. There's plenty of ways that you can simplify down how you actually design things. And so something like this is quite nice. I mean, there's probably a few things that I've improved there, but yeah, I mean, I quite like this. So I'm going to probably design something that looks similar to this. I guess we've got to think, okay, what are the key thing is, like, what are the key ways that you want someone to navigate through? In this particular case, you've got, just looking at this example, you've got down here the ability to go through different people taking calls. So is that sort of the key filter that we want to place over our reports here? Or is it hospitals? Is it something else? So from a design perspective, when you think about how to create your reports in Power BI, those are the things that you want to consider. Those are the things you want to make sure you're thinking about. Okay, so tomorrow, potentially, I'll see how we go. But hopefully you enjoyed this one. This was just a start of something I want to do a lot more. Just sort of just working through scenarios in different industries, different business functions, different scenarios, even with enterprise app builds around the Power Platform. I really want to showcase how to build end-to-end solutions with all of the different tools in the Power Platform. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that. So definitely watch out for more things like this. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's all. That's what I want to show today, and look forward to next time. Definitely let me know in the chat if you've got any follow-up questions. Definitely participate in the challenge. This is all about getting more involvement in the challenge. There's nothing better to learning and mastering Power BI than actually doing it, participating, collaborating with everyone. It's really, really powerful for your own learning journey if you get involved in these initiatives that we're running through our community. Okay, everyone, take care. Look forward to next time. See you later.